Today, by the way, hello. Today, we're going to kind of follow this pattern here. 1882, a Nietzsche, a guy who's just, you read him and you want to hang yourself. He declared, God is dead. 1966, Time magazine asked the question, is God dead? 2011, with all the things that are going on. On this program, we're going to declare today, God lives, He's involved, and He's waiting for you to notice and respond. And I'll show you exactly how I know He lives and is involved and what I'm going to show you an individual. I think He's sending you a message. He's kind of inside, screaming to get out, sending you a message that, no, I am not dead. Wait. Don't go anywhere. This is a show you don't want to miss. Come on. Well, hello, America. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Israel. Israel is about the size of New Jersey. It is this little itty bitty country right here in the middle of all the fire. Okay? It's surrounded by happy nations like Egypt and Libya and Saudi Arabia and Yemen and Bahrain and Iran and Jordan and Lebanon and Syria and Turkey. It's great. And as these nations, one by one, go through unrest and regime changes, all of the change is a little more hostile towards Israel. One glance at the news, and it's easy to see the momentum is not going in the right direction if you care at all about Israel. I want to show you what's happened generally in the last 24 hours or so. Just since we met last night, and you tell me, are things getting better or worse? Yesterday, UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon said Israel needs to end its occupation of the Palestinian territory and called the so-called occupation morally and politically unsustainable. Then Turkey, remember, a member of NATO. Hey, wait a minute, we're about to turn this whole thing over to NATO. That's so good that Turkey's in there because nothing spooky happening in Turkey. The Turkish Deputy Prime Minister called for Turkey to strengthen its relations with Iran. That's going to be good. Yeah, in order to solve some of the regional problems. What problems they might solve in Iran? Last I checked, Iran was talking about triggering the return of the Mahdi, or the 12th Imam, by, chaos and bloodshed and vaporizing Israel. But it's a good thing Turkey's on board now. A senior Iranian military commander says recent developments boost Iran's regional power in that region, and the recent uprisings in the Middle East are a wave of Islamic awakening. Great. Iran, by the way, also busy. They're cozying up to Lebanon, another one of those countries on fire in the Middle East right around Israel. Top officials from the two nations have just met and discussed the need for unity and solidarity among the regional nations. Oh, man, this is going to work out well. By the way, in a completely unrelated story, this happened just a couple of days ago. A cargo ship. It's around here someplace. Cargo ship. Those are Navy vessels. There's the cargo ship. It was just intercepted off of Israel's coast and headed into the hands of Hamas in Gaza. Now, here's the disturbing part. The Israeli Navy made this discovery on board. Show me the gifts inside. Look at that. It's like a Pez dispenser, except missiles come out. Missiles strong enough to take out Israeli Navy ships. Oh, and the cargo ship was from Iran, who's strengthening their ties with everybody around. And the missiles, they're Chinese. Now, there's something else going on. And coincidentally, the same time that SEIU's Stephen Lerner is expected to march people into the streets here in New York to try to collapse the Dow Jones, our economy, and take down J.P. Morgan Chase, a story that nobody seems to care about, radicals on the left are also planning to take the Freedom Flotilla II to end the siege in Gaza. Now, this is similar to the one Bill Ayers and Code Pink were all about supporting just a few months back in the summer. By the way, while we're here with the lovable Bill Ayers, who the president he never knew. He just, he's currently in the Middle East with his wife, Bernadine Dorn. Now, she's the one after Charlie Manson, stabbed that woman to death, the pregnant woman with a fork, and then they all sat down and had dinner. His wife was the one that said, "Far out," and then they ate with the dead chick on the floor. Oh, she's still a sweetheart, and there's still a couple of lovebirds, but they're in Beirut now. This was taken just a few days ago, but here's what they're talking about now. They're trying to teach people about a new world order. Listen how everybody in the world can vote. It's great.
What if you say, every resident of a country with an American military base within its borders ought to have the right to vote in an American presidential election? That causes a different kind of way of thinking, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I mean, imagine, hundreds and hundreds of millions of people voted for the American president from countries as diverse as Cuba and Italy and, wherever. What a great idea. Well, I don't know if you think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea.
He does think it's a great idea, just like all those great ideas they had back in the 1960s when they were plotting terrorism together with the Weather Underground. Hey, I wonder, I haven't checked the border, but then again, nobody's checked our southern border for a while. But I wonder if we checked, maybe Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn are on some sort of terrorist exchange program that we don't know about in the Middle East. Could be. He went on to say that that's why Obama really was over in Germany before the election, running for president of the world, pretty much. Isn't that great? Now, 24 hours ago, a Facebook page was up, but it was finally taken down last night after complaints flooded into Facebook to have it removed. The page called for a third Palestinian uprising. The original page were calls to take to the streets, but that's just what the president said. Take to the streets, you kids, you crazy kids of digital age. Get up, revolution, it's neato. Well, on this page there were motivational quotes like this one. I love this. Judgment Day will be brought upon us only once the Muslims have killed all the Jews. What? The page had more than 340,000 fans. Natalie Portman, the Academy Award, the one who's like, I'm a ballet dancer. She has 477 fans. So it's pretty much the same. They want to kill all the Jews. Really like Natalie Portman, and they're going for her for the Oscar. Also, a little story that I saw in the news is probably not even worth mentioning. Just about 2,200 Marines and sailors from Camp Lejeune are just getting ready to deploy, to Libya. That's on a ship just off the coast. No big. This is an air campaign. What? All right. So you have all of this going on simultaneously. And it was all triggered by the spontaneous uprisings. They happened overnight. Remember the stories? The administration was taken off guard. They were surprised. They didn't know what to do. Yeah. President needed time to figure out how to respond because it was so crazy. Could I be a burr under his saddle? Just for a second. Could I just interject a little reality? Could I just show you what we have found? I know it takes, what is it, 87? 87 people at Media Matters all day long just to take what I say to you here and then try to smear it and turn it upside down. 87. And they're hiring more with George Soros money. But us 10 little people here that do the research on this show, look what we found. Wouldn't it be amazing what, like somebody from ABC News, what they could find? 10 on this program found this. Reports in an Egyptian newspaper are now revealing that the Obama administration met with members of Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood way back in the time machine, 2009. The Brotherhood reportedly expressed to the administration their support for democracy and that war on terror thing. Now, any sane person would say, I think you're lying. But as we've seen, this administration went right along with it.
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
(2009). So they're back in talks, saying, I heart you, you heart me. Yeah, then we can all get along. Let's go for democracy. Then, way back again in the time machine, November 2010. That's last fall. Not too far in the distant past. In the midst of the midterm elections, when nobody was looking, there was this story. Man, I wish we would have seen it then, huh? Obama, NSC, meets with Egypt democracy advocates. The article reports that top Obama National Security Council officials met with a group of bipartisan foreign policy experts who advocate the U.S. get more involved in, of all places, Egypt. What are the odds? Now, these bipartisan groups, they have all kinds of people involved. They have Project on the Middle East for Democracy, Human Rights Watch. They have the Carnegie Endowment. They have the Brookings Institute. They have Freedom House. And, of course, we know Center for American Progress. Let me show you. This is so crazy. This is crazy. We know that George Soros is involved in that one. So, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. But also at the table, on the Obama side, was the completely neutral Samantha Power. She's half of the most dangerous couple in America. I'm going to put her over here, because I say he's the most dangerous man in America, Cass Sunstein. She's her, Danger is her middle name. She's an aide to Obama. And just in the last 24 hours, she was described by Time magazine as, quote, the foremost voice for human rights within the White House. She has Obama's ear, according to the executive director of Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch? Have I seen that before? Oh, yeah, that's right. George Soros's group. This one. These are also all of his groups, but this one is the one I'm talking about that just said this about her. How do they know her? Well, she wrote this book, Problem from Hell. It's about genocide. But she's not just an author. No. This idea was so good that somebody said, I like that. I like that. Call her up. The many faces of George Soros. Hey, it's me. I'm not so evil right now. I just want to say, you're genius. Why don't you get together with my charity group? So she did. And then they spawned, you ready? The Global Center for the Responsibility to Protect, which gives us the responsibility to protect doctrine, which sends us into Libya. Isn't that weird? By the way, Open Society, only one of two of the foundations that bankroll this whole idea. So it was her idea that George Soros creates a foundation that gets this whole responsibility to protect thing through the very same doctrine that was used because she has his ear. I wonder who has his other ear. Uh-oh, I remember now, her husband. So the U.S. military action in Libya is based on this. And this is what, these are all the very diverse people that got together to say back last fall, hey, by the way, we should do something about democracy in Egypt. Now, the New York Times caught on to some of this today and wrote, the president's decision to pursue that course is something of a personal triumph for Samantha. Samantha, mazel tov. I mean that, Sam. You should be so proud. You're a big girl now. But let's go back to her influence in Egypt. Way back in November, she's the one who met with all the many faces of George Soros to figure out democracy in Egypt. What should we do, Georgie Wargie? Here's the report on the meeting. Participants who attended the meeting were reluctant to get into the real details of what the NSC officials discussed. Oh, I bet. But they suggested the meeting comes in the midst of the Obama administration conducting a review of its policies on democracy in the Middle East and a significantly stepped up focus by senior Obama administration officials on the Egyptian democracy issue in particular. So this is months before the spontaneous uprisings for democracy in Egypt. All out of the blue. Now, out of all the years for the Egyptians to come down with a freedom bug against Mubarak and get to the streets protesting, it's shortly after the administration steps up the efforts on, what do they say, the Egyptian democracy issue? Wow. And a lot of the experts from the administration told all of these guys, like this guy, and 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 then her, who's sponsored by this guy, ho, 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 they had quite an argument with themselves. The White House, they were warning that putting pressure on Egypt could harm the Palestinian-Israeli peace efforts. But all those guys won. Somehow or another, they all got together on that. And the delegation moved forward, stressing that stability in Egypt is an illusion, and we have to get on the right side of this thing. So they didn't either care about stability or they knew something about that Egyptian stability that no one else did. You know, something that would make it go unstable or make it an illusion. I wonder if they had any contacts at Google or Facebook, or if they knew something else that has been right in front of everybody's face, but nobody in the media has even caught it. Oh my gosh, you should watch tomorrow's show. Watch tomorrow. Remember, while Mubarak was a dictator, he played nice, protecting Israel. Can you go to the map, please? Put the map back up here. See, Israel is right here, and Egypt was the only thing that kept everything from going up in flames. Big hole in the line of defense now if you take out Egypt. As we showed you, they are surrounded. I don't know if you've ever been to Israel, but I have. And what is striking about it is how tiny it is. Yet there has never ever been another country like it on earth. One that disappeared about 2,000 years ago. And it was prophesied that it would come back and play a huge role. Now look how small that country is. There's no country that has disappeared, prophesied that it would come back, and then 2,000 years later did and was this important. That's kind of weird, huh? This is an important place. There's a reason why this postage stamp is fought over by everybody. It is the place where man first listened to God, the Temple Mount. This is where it all begins. Judaism believes this is the place where God gathered the dust to create Adam. Abraham was set to sacrifice his own son, Isaac, right there. Muslims believe this is where Muhammad's ascent to heaven was from. It's where Jesus turned over the tables. It's where Christians believe Jesus is coming back again, probably sooner rather than later, I'm just saying. 3 of the world's major religions stem from this postage stamp. And when you're there, you really realize how small it is. And yet, the Temple Mount, this right there behind that wall, it just calls out to you. That's me, the fat belly right there in Israel a few years back. This weekend, I was in Texas. And I want to tell you what I realized when I was in Texas. It's very similar to what I realized in Israel. I'll do that next. I was in Texas this last weekend and I visited the Alamo. And I had the same feeling. That's my wife and I this weekend. Man, I still have that belly. We were in Jerusalem and I had the same kind of feeling. The Alamo is so small. The Alamo held less than 200 Texans, and they held off Santa Anna's armies for about, that's about 2,400 people, for 13 days. This is the place where Davy Crockett and Sam Bowie and William Travis all died fighting for liberty. It is an inspiring story. I feel, in many ways, we're in the same situation now with the Soros-funded Media Matters, shutting down the truth, declaring guerrilla warfare and sabotage against this network and this show. And also what Soros and his cronies are trying to do with Israel. I mean, when you see, tomorrow we're going to lay this all out on a timeline, and this will boggle your mind how he is doing this. I feel the same way, I think, that Colonel Travis did when he wrote this letter. And I've shared this with you before. This letter is what he wrote when he was asking for help. He was asking for people. And when he wrote it, he knew that it was probably too late. But this letter is one of the greatest letters in American history. And it's because of this letter that we have the slogan, "Remember the Alamo," for what they did. I get the same feeling that Israel can sympathize with those who are at the Alamo. They are surrounded by enemies. Someone the other day called me General Custer. They said, "You are surrounded, my friend." That's okay. I knew I would be, and that's all right. You have to stand. When you really truly believe something, you have to stand up. Tonight I would like to, if I may be so bold, let me issue the same plea for Israel that Colonel Travis issued for the Alamo, for our values, for our country, for our families, for our liberty, as William Travis did. If I may paraphrase poorly, what he wrote in the letter was, "To all Americans." I'd like to add, to all those freedom lovers that hear or see me anywhere around the world, all over the planet, people are watching. Freedom in our country and your country is under siege. It has been taken continual bombardment, and the enemy is about to demand a surrender. If you don't surrender, they will put whoever won't to the sword. That happens if the fort is taken. I've been on this programming answering those demands with cannon shot, and the flag of freedom still waves. I'm not going to surrender. I'm not going to retreat. I don't really care. I know what's true. But I call on you now in the name of liberty and patriotism and everything dear to the American character to come, no matter where you are in the world, to come to our aid, to come to the aid of freedom, to come to the aid of the people God called the Israelites, with all dispatch. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily and is increasing in number. If this call is neglected, I'm determined to sustain myself as long as possible, and just like William Travis wrote in his letter, die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his honor or that of his country. Victory or death. William Barrett Travis wrote those letters, wrote those words, but at the very end, he had a P.S., and it was just this: the Lord is on our side. He went on to explain that there was multiplying of food. I'm just telling you that you will see the Lord's hand. You will be defended, because freedom doesn't belong to you and me, no matter where we are in the world. It doesn't belong to Israel or America or Australia or England or any place else. It doesn't belong to us as individuals. He loans us these rights for his purposes. Now people would say, where's another William Travis or a Davy Crockett or a George Washington? I've been looking for one for a while. People are asking, as I have been, where is he? Where is Reagan? Where's Churchill? Where is anyone standing up daily for freedom and making the case? The answer is what it always has been. It's you. But it is time for you to realize who you are and that you were born at this time with a purpose. I ask you now to come with all dispatch to the side of liberty. Join hands, link arms, no matter where on earth you are watching me, anywhere in the world, it is time for you to stand, not against an administration, not against George Soros or anyone else, but stand up. Stand for our God, our freedom, and our families. I think many Americans have been asking, who is standing for man's freedom? Where is that Churchill leader? The Middle East is crumbling. We're treating the only bastion of democracy, a stable, free republic, Israel, as a foe now. We have labor leaders here in our own country planning economic terrorism to take down our financial system in May. At times, it might feel a little hopeless, and it feels like you don't have the power to make any decisions. You can't stand against this collective force. But I think, as I wrote in a book put out called The Seven a few months back, breadcrumbs. Life is all about breadcrumbs. You just have to follow them. My website at glennbeck.com found a story that I'd like to prove Nietzsche is wrong, and Time magazine asked the question 66, is God dead? No, God lives, is involved, and is waiting for you to notice and respond. I noticed something when I saw this that we posted up on our website. So we reached out to the family, and I wanted to bring the family into New York so you could meet them. What I noticed was Jacob Barnett. He's 12 years old, and he is renewing faith that the power of a person's mind can change the world. I met with him earlier today in my office here in New York City, and I want you to watch him.
Y equals e to the sine of x. The natural logarithm of y equals cosine x e to the e sine x.
I carried Einstein's theory of relativity in my back pocket for about a year and a half. This when I was 30, 35, and just read it over and over again and just couldn't grasp it. When did you?
Let's see, when did that click for me? About the time I was 10?
How many grades did you skip?
7.
You have a photographic memory?
Yep.
My gosh, what is that like?
You can see anything in front of you, like a math equation or pi.
They say that Stephen Hawking can think in 3 dimensions.
I believe so, but I can think in 4 and 5.
But draw a cat.
A cat? You want me to do a cat?
Yeah, see? Can't do it, can you, kid? You know much about Thomas Jefferson? Jefferson had a mind like yours. He could write in 2 different languages, and he could also write backwards. Can you do that?
Yeah, let's think.
Where are you going to end up?
I want to write a textbook so that it makes some of the higher level math a bit easier. I want to be a professor at some university making the higher math easier. I want to do research in the field of astrophysics.
I hate that kid. 12-year-old child prodigy, Jake Barnett. With us here, his parents, Christine and Michael Barnett. Wow. Christine, you told me earlier, and I'm watching you, brother, so you just, yeah. You told me earlier today that you didn't know really until this week. You knew that you had, you know, that obviously you had a different kind of brain on your hands here, but you had no idea that this was that unusual?
Not really until the world started doing these crazy things. I really just thought he was, you know, just another smart kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think so. When he was a a baby. How old was he when he was taking the cereal? Do we have the picture of the cereal boxes? When he was taking the cereal and spilling it all over the floor, how old there?
There is about 14 months.
14 months. And when he could start to communicate, he told you what he was trying to do. What did he say?
He said he was doing the volume of the boxes. He made equations. He was making his own equations.
Yeah. I don't even know what, I wouldn't even recognize an equation for volume, would you?
I still
Not
don't.
really.
Yeah, no, okay. Can he play any musical instrument? Can he?
When he was about 3 years old, we were buying a gift for a lady in a little toy store near our house. And I was in a hurry. I was a busy mom. I was like, come along, Jacob, let's get this gift picked out. He stood in front of a music box and opened it, closed it, opened it, closed it. And then as I was checking out, walked over to like a roll-out piano and just began playing Beethoven. He had to push each key
I did that
first.
when I was 2. So you're not that special, okay? Not that special. Don't get cocky, kid. He was diagnosed at what age with Asperger's?
Just short of 2.
Just sort of 2. Why did you take him to the doctor?
He stopped talking. He went from babbling like a regular toddler, speaking like a regular toddler, saying I love you to his mom and dad, and he completely quit.
Okay. Saying I love you to mom and dad and also saying I'm looking for the volume.
Volume of a box.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay. But then he stopped talking, and so you freaked out a little bit and went to the doctor, and the doctor said what?
Mrs. Barnett, your son has autism.
And what did that mean to you?
At the time, it just meant there was no hope. I talked to every doctor I could find. I talked to every therapist I could find. We don't know if he's going to talk again. We think he will always be in special ed.
But you knew the whole time that he was in there, right?
Absolutely.
And did you have any clue that he was functioning at a higher, not this level, but a higher level?
Yes, because of who he was before he stopped talking.
Okay, yeah, the volume of the cereal box might have set me off, and the piano thing too. The message that you were receiving now from doctors and everybody else, teachers and everything else, was, well, look, his handwriting isn't real good, but you were saying, no, but look what he's writing, right? And so, what is the message that you have, before we watch him in action here for a second, what is the message that you have for other families that might be exactly like you?
When you're given an overwhelming diagnosis, do not give up. When children with autism have scattered skills, and you have these skills down low on the bottom, their handwriting, tying your shoes, being coordinated on a bicycle, look for the scattered skills that are up high. Look for the math and the history, and spend an equal amount of time doing those. And also, let your child be a child. Let your child play, go fishing with them, do normal childhood experiences with your child, and then always let your child do what they love.
I'm gonna introduce you to Jacob, and I've got a test for you. I don't know any of the answers, but I've got a test. But I want you to watch him, and what I got after just watching this story at the website was this: that when you feel overwhelmed and you think like everything is like there's just an overwhelming diagnosis, watch God's handiwork, because what we think is really bad, we just don't understand. It's about to reveal itself as something amazing. I'm going to introduce you to Jacob and let you see God's handiwork here in just a second as he is starting on his path to disprove the Big Bang. Watch. Okay. Back with 12-year-old whiz kid, Jake Barnett. But don't worry, Jake, someday you'll be like me, old, and just kind of like mushy right around the center, and not so special. Enjoy it while you can, my friend. His parents, Kristen and Michael, are here, but I want to talk to Jake about. I want you to show America what you showed me in my office today.
Okay.
Prove the infinite series is convergent.
All right.
Who can't do this?
All right, gotta pick out the right color. I want you. All right. I'm gonna use an integral test.
That's where I would have started.
What?
That's where I would have started. Just keep going. I don't mean to throw you off track.
Oh, okay. So then, I have this series.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's convergent, then the integral of that is convergent. And if it's divergent, the integral of that is divergent. So I'm going to take an integral.
Yeah.
To 1 of the sine of 2x dx divided by 1 plus cos to the 4th of x.
Okay. Have you thought of this?
I'm running out of chalk on this thing. I'm gonna.
Just watch me, okay?
Okay.
All right. Please pay attention. I don't do this very often for people, and I just want to help you out here. That's all.
All right.
Okay. Serene? I'd go with that one, America. I'd go with the R2-D2. It only saved the galaxy. Okay.
So what I do from here, I have to set this as a limit because it's an improper integral. Limit.
Still
t
more.
Approaches infinity.
He does this. Does he? I mean, he can't sleep at night, right?
1
Yeah, he stays awake learning this stuff.
sine.
Like
2
reading
x
with a flashlight or
dx.
something, or.
He just takes it in his room with him. When he was little, he took an alphabet with little raised dots in his room with him.
Limit.
Came out the next morning and was writing in Braille.
T approaches.
I don't know.
How little?
I do
That was
u.
before he stopped talking,
Oh, wait, no.
so
First
it
I
was
gotta
still
solve for
1.
that.
1.
T.
One? He just taught himself how to write Braille?
You know, and when his
Keep writing, kid.
when his
so
when his
then we
brother
have
was
2
born, we were stunned
sine
that
x
he wasn't doing the same
cosine
things.
x,
When his brother was
which is
1 and
equivalent
couldn't
to
figure out how to
sine
read
of
and write by
2x
himself.
New parents. New parents, I know.
What's wrong with you, Wes?
Why aren't you playing the piano? You're 2. Must be amazing. Okay.
Equals the cosine of.
I want to spend just a little bit more time with him in just a second. Come on back over here, because I'll check your work later. But I want to talk to you when we come back a little bit about why you think the Big Bang is wrong, and then I have a gift for you, and you guys as well. Back in a minute. Back with 12-year-old child prodigy Jake Barnett and his parents, Christine and Michael. And you went into college when you were 8?
That's when I started auditing my first classes.
Right, okay. And does he go to college classes now? And who are your friends? Are they 8 or are they college, or who are your friends?
I have some friends from school. That is some friends that I kept on from 5th grade. And then I also have some friends down at college. I practically hang out in the honors lounge and got some friends there.
Okay. I asked you today if you knew anything, how you were doing on history. And you told me that you have a photographic memory.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you some books, and then I'd like to either have you back or Skype, but I want to see what you can do with a few things. First of all, 5,000-year leap. This is the 28 principles that set us apart. And then there's 2 amazing men of science, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. These are the real series, the real Thomas Jefferson, real Ben Franklin. These are fantastic books. And then I just want you to see, because this guy's from Berkeley. I think he's really smart. This is a fascinating book, Physics for Future Presidents. I like it. But there's a few things in here I don't necessarily agree with. You'll probably spot too, but we'll keep it between us. But that's for you. And this is actually, I told a friend of mine today that we were meeting, And they said the parents should read Autism and the God Connection. This is for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
God bless. Back in a minute.